Hello, welcome to Laura's World. I'm Laura and this is going to be the first video with a content warning. As stated in my previous video, I have not been doing so great and that would be my insulin pump anyway. And I did do a short from my hospital room because I was hospitalized for 5 days. The content warning, basically, if you're not comfortable with extensive medical talk, discussions of body parts, blood, bruising, all kinds of things that happen in the medical realm and in the hospital, and my personal feelings and big time medical gaslighting and medical trauma, then this is not the video for you. No hard feelings. I don't want anyone to be upset. I don't want anyone to be hurt. So if you feel that something might make you uncomfortable in this video, just click away and wait for the next one. Okay? So we left off early on Friday morning. I said I was going to stay up and wait a few hours for the cardiologist's office to open. I called around 8:30. I was kind of early. Figured maybe I'd get a jump, leave a message, something like that. And it gave me the option to have the cardiologist on call give me a call back. I thought, you know what, that's the way I'm going to get in. So I left my name and phone number and I waited. And waited. And 2 hours I heard absolutely nothing. So by this point I'm like, you know what, I feel like I wasted time. I don't understand why you have a doctor on call if they're not going to call you. So I called the cardiologist's office back and I got someone and I explained the situation. I said, hey, Friday I was in the emergency room with really high blood pressure and chest pain and a plethora of other things going on, and they told me to call you guys and you'd be able to get me in to see a cardiologist because it's kind of serious. And my symptoms have not improved. As a matter of fact, they have gotten worse. I'm feeling really shitty and I just need to be seen as soon as possible by the first available doctor. And she goes, the first available appointment is September 21st, which is like a month away. And I said, okay, that's not gonna work. And she goes, no, it's not. What you're telling me right now, you need to go back to the emergency room. I was like, I want to go back to the emergency room. Why? So they can tell me they don't know what's wrong again, charge me another $100 and send me home? Now, of course, I didn't say this to the woman I was talking to on the phone. I just said, oh, okay. You know what? Just for the sake of getting my foot in the door, let's keep the appointment, set it for September 21st, and in the meantime, I'll, figure out what's going on my end. And she, again, kind of sternly said, don't play around, go back to the emergency room. Fine. I'm going to try a little something new on my face. Of course, I got to put something on my face because it just makes me feel better. I bought this during a live I was watching on Super Great. It's called Apto Skincare Turmeric Mist. Refreshing, cooling, and energizing. Now this is why reading is fundamental. To quote Cassandra Bankson, turn and learn. In the directions you think it's a spray, you're going to spray your face. Wrong. You are supposed to shake well and put a few drops on a dry cotton pad or wipe and apply to your face. Drops, it's a spray. I'm a little confused, so we're just going to go with the whole, let's shake it up. Enough. Ooh, what an interesting scent. So I text my husband because he can't talk. I can't call him. He's in a very, at this point, I honestly don't remember. He might have been in a meeting. I think there was some issue with some tax. I don't know. I don't know. And at this point, I really, heartless as it sounds, I couldn't care because I just really felt like shit. So I let him know. I'm like, listen, we got to do something. I called the cardiologist. They don't have an appointment available. I need to be seen by somebody. I am just, it's worse. It's worse than it was. And he said, all right, I can't leave work right now. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I figured. He goes, let me call my parents. I said, no, don't call your parents. I don't want to bother them. And he's like, well, if we don't get them, then you're going to have to, like, take an Uber to the hospital. I'm like, all right, let me know what you figure out and call me back. This turmeric mist, I'm just going to keep putting it on. It feels really nice. It's actually relaxing me a little bit, which is great. It's making my skin feel better. What do I always say? Oh, not always, but what have I been saying? When your skin feels good, you feel good. Despite everything going on, if my skin feels good, it does detract from whatever negativity or pain I'm experiencing. So, Hobbs calls me back and says, all right, my father is coming to pick you up, and he'll bring you back to the emergency room. He just has something to do on the island, and then he'll be there. And I said, all right. So I'm thinking to myself, this is kind of serious. I'm not joking around anymore. I decided to start packing a bag. You just never know. You never know. And in this bag I put a couple days worth of clothes. What else did I put? Some kind of like some spritz or something for my face. Of course, a lip balm because you get so dried out in the hospital. And all my diabetic crap. And I put it in this. I have this really cute sports sack backpack that has more pockets in it than I realized. It's got 2 like water bottle pockets on the side, which I threw a bunch of pills into. It's got the main compartment where the clothes went. It's got the front compartment where all my drugs, the diabetic stuff and the skin stuff went. It has like a laptop pocket that I didn't put anything in because I don't have a laptop. And yeah, just a bunch of pockets. I thought it was amazing. It was one of those Nordstrom rack sales. It was a very expensive backpack, but I got it for nice and cheap. I got it for $30, I think, along with a Calvin Klein backpack that I was gonna use the Calvin Klein backpack, but it wasn't big enough. So I packed up the bag and I'm hobbling around and I'm like, man, oh God, I don't feel good. And the dog is looking at me. She's like, what's wrong with you? Can I help you? Can I do something? Like she was trying really hard to figure out what the hell she could do besides just lay there. And she stayed out of my way, which is unusual for her because she likes to trip me up. She thinks it's fun. So as I'm packing the bag, you get another call from my husband. He's like, all right, my father's going to be there in like 20 minutes. Just be ready to go. And I'm like, yeah, all right, I'm doing my best. Hang up with him, get my bag. I start to go, and guess who falls down the stairs again? I'm grateful that I haven't broken anything. Knock on wood. I'm grateful. By the way, you like my new headband? It's the little things that make me feel better, make me feel a little cute. I have a nice little collection of headbands going on over here, and I don't know. I used to wear really wild, outlandish headbands because that was my style. I got teased a lot at work when I was working for them, and I brushed it off because I really didn't care, because honestly I really didn't care. I liked them. But I wore them when I had really short hair, and then when the hair started to grow out, I was like, well, okay, it doesn't make sense to, I don't know, I'm babbling now. Anyway, so my mom is already If I haven't mentioned, she's practically bedbound, but she does get up and get in her wheelchair to, she tries to do as much as she can for herself because she's always been a very independent person. So, of course, she's like right there as I'm rolling down the stairs and just freaking out. Oh my God. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm fine. The dog is fine. Dog is like running down the stairs, licking my face. Oh my God, what happened? And my father-in-law shows up. I can't get up fast enough to open the door. My mom, is back in the wheelchair. She's like, "What are we gonna do? How are you gonna get the door?" And blah blah blah. And apparently, my husband, we have a way of locking and unlocking the door um, remotely, which has come in handy more times than I care to mention. Anyway, so my mom yells, "Come on in!" So he comes in and he's like, they're chatting for a minute, and he's got his own health problems going on, which is why I didn't want to involve him or my mother-in-law. But they lectured me about family and how, I was there for them and all this, their shit happened, and this is how it goes, and I still have guilt about it, even though I probably shouldn't. So he takes me, he drops me off, I go in, the lady is like, "Oh, you were just here." I was like, "Yeah, I'm back because it's worse." So she checks, gets my shit together, boom, gets in, the same thing goes over again, does the EKG, throws me in the hallway, and this time instead of my husband, it's my father-in-law who, my husband can answer for me a few things when I start to space, but my father-in-law can't, because, he knows a lot about me, but he doesn't know my whole, medical history. So, he did his best to help me out, trying to say, "Oh, do you take a medication for this? Do you take a medication for that?" And all this other stuff. And so I'm like, I'm not paying attention during triage. I'm not paying attention during anything that's going on because I'm literally like going like this. My whole head is, the room is being pulled. It's just whoa, whoa, whoa situation going in my eyes and my head, and my chest is like from here to here. It's just ow, but pressing on it doesn't do anything because it's not muscular, and it's, I don't know what happened. Next thing I know, I'm in this wheelchair. The next thing I know, I'm getting put into a bed, and I'm drawing a blank. I don't know what happened next, but I do know that I started getting very cold, like again with the body temperature thing in it. And my father-in-law and I always joke, like, we're always warm. We always like having the air conditioning on. My mother-in-law is always cold. She wears a sweater in the middle of August. You know what I mean? But he's in there and he's like, "I'm comfortable," and I'm freezing. So he reaches out and touches me and he goes, "Oh my God, you're cold." I'm like, "Yeah." So he goes, nobody's checking on me. This one this one nurse with an attitude, was having some problems. She called me a hard stick because she tried twice to get an IV in and couldn't do it. For some reason, my veins were all hiding. I'm not dehydrated, so I don't know what's up with that. So then they had to call in the specialist. And, she was sitting at my arm for quite a few minutes, poke, 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 poke with her finger. She finally got it, and she got it in one try, thank God. So yeah, my father-in-law goes and fetches a hot blanket. Oh, it was so nice. And he said that I was dozing on and off, just because I wasn't feeling good. And what do? You're waiting for someone to help you. You just doze off. But nobody came. Nobody was coming. Nothing was getting done. And we were sitting there, and it turns out it was a couple of hours. A couple hours. Because my 10-second EKG looked normal again. They just left me there. So he stands out in the hallway. He's a very quiet man. He's hard of hearing, but he's also very quiet. And he decides, he's gonna get up. My husband promised me, he's like, "Oh no, he'll get up and do something. He'll get up and start making a fuss if they're not doing what they're supposed to do." Sure enough, he does. He gets up and he stands out in the hallway and he's looking at people walking by him, and he's like out enough where he's just slightly in the way. And finally one of the nurses is like, yeah, can I help you? And he's like, yeah, it's been hours. What the hell is going on? My daughter-in-law is sick. So, again, everything is just a fucking blur. My mother-in-law shows up at one point, so the three of us are just sitting there. She tells him to go home and have some lunch. I'm like, yeah, she's here. Just go. And he's like, I don't want to go. I don't want to leave. I want to make sure everything's done. And my mother-in-law is like, I'm here. I'll take care of it. You know. So he goes for lunch, and the nurse finally comes in and starts talking. No, not the nurse, the doctor. The ER doctor comes in and starts talking to me, talking about my pain and talking about the blood pressure. My blood pressure was very elevated, but it was not as high as the other day, thank God. And she's like, did you take your medication? I'm like, yes, I took my medication. My blood pressure is this high, even with the medication. So she's like, all right. So for the pain and everything, normally what we give is morphine. And I went, she goes, yeah, no, it's in your chart. I'm allergic to morphine. My father was allergic to morphine. My grandmother was allergic to morphine. You see where this is going. So then she asks if I've ever had Dilaudid. And I said, yeah. And she goes, and what reaction did you have to that? I said, relief. She goes, there it is. 5 minutes later, the nurse comes along, flushes out my IV, and gives me some Dilaudid. And it's like almost immediately, I start feeling very warm. And she's like, yeah, you're going to feel warm. I said, I'm feeling it. Oh my God. It was great because I was still freezing. My mother-in-law said, like, I perked up as soon as the drug started working, as soon as the pain started going away. Weird. I was still not thinking very clearly, but I, at that point, was able to hold a conversation. And so we're sitting there just chatting and talking, and then I get sent for a CT of my head, my chest. I don't even know. I had an x-ray of my chest on that Friday, and then this being Monday, they did a CT of something. Come back and, you know, still chatting, and then my father-in-law decides to come back, so the three of us are sitting there still, and what was the reason? I don't know. Scott, my husband had some reason for not, like a legitimate reason for not being there, which is why my in-laws were there. Alright, we're going to throw on another sample that I have sitting. Everything I'm using is just kind of close by right now. This is the Vichy Lift Active Specialist B3 Serum. Okay. I like the brand stuff. I have other serums that I use. They're fantastic. And so I'm just going to put a little... Oh, God. Whoops. Keep forgetting this stuff isn't exactly jelly-like. It's very watery. So... I'm just going to try to one-hand this because, as you can see, I have a situation. Anyway, come back from the CT of some organ. Father-in-law's sitting there, mother-in-law's sitting there, and the doctor comes in and goes, well, we're not really sure of what the situation is. There's something wrong, you know, but it's not really something that we think we can address in the emergency room specifically, you know, because it requires more testing and time. And I just looked at the doctor and I said, I'm scared. You know, it takes a lot for me to admit something like that. I'm not a super... Okay, lies, I am a super stubborn person, but it takes a lot for me to admit to being scared of something. And I just looked at her and said, I'm scared. With all the medication you've given me, all the testing, all of this and that, They gave me nitro again under my tongue. They gave me aspirin again. Something else they put into my IV before they gave me the Dilaudid. And she looked at me and goes, then I think you should stay. And I said, nobody wants to stay in the hospital if they can help it. And she goes, you know what? I have to go check on another patient. Why don't you talk it over with your family and we'll make a decision together? And I said, okay. So I talked it over with my in-laws and I looked at them and I said, all right, if you were in my shoes, what would you do? And the answer they gave was kind of what I was expecting. They said, well, we don't really know what situation you're in, so we really wouldn't know what to tell you. But if you're scared, don't let them send you home again. I called my husband, talked to him. I barely finished my sentence when he said to me, I think you need to stay there. I don't understand why they let you out last time. I don't understand why they discharged you. And our friend was also with him on Friday. I don't know if I mentioned that. Our friend was an EMT at one point, so he had a little bit of an education, and he didn't understand why I was discharged. It felt a little irresponsible to him. So everyone is in agreement. All right, stay. So the doctor comes back in, and I said, all right. Now, being of an insurance brain, because in my previous life I was an insurance agent, I asked, how is this going to be coded? You know, is this going to be something that the insurance is going to try to deny? And she goes, well, there's something wrong. It's going to be coded as observation. But if further testing while in the hospital reveals something else, you know, then that changes. I said, you know what? I looked at my mother-in-law and I thought, you know, I can't screw around. Something is just bothering me. So I was admitted. And that was on Monday. We got there late Monday morning. Monday evening, I'm being admitted. As soon as that decision was made, they just said, all right, we're pretty sure we have a bed for you on the cardiac ward. We just have to wait to make sure it's clear. My in-laws were like, all right, so, you know, do you want us to stay? And I was like, no, you got, you know, the plan's already in place. Go home. So they went home and I kind of waited by myself and called my mother. I had to, oh wait, my in-laws were still there when I called my mother. I was like, let me call her or just stay here. Because I didn't know what to expect from her. I didn't know if she was going to start screaming or crying or whatever, because, I mean, she never got over being protective of me. I'm a fully grown adult, but I'm still her child. So I called her and she was upset, of course, but she, like everyone else, agreed, yeah, something is that wrong, you need to be admitted. Fine. And then she started crying because she said, I should be there with you. This is ridiculous. I'm trying to think of any way that I can get to the hospital and hang and be there with you and support you, but I don't know. And I'm like, Mom, don't worry about it. You can barely ride in a car. We have, she bought a handicap accessible minivan, specifically just to get her to and from doctor's appointments in her wheelchair. We only used it a handful of times for her. It turns out that we're using it more for me and my scooter when we want to go places. Anyway, so finally the time comes that I'm brought up to the cardiac floor and I'm immediately hooked up to a heart monitor with a cute little carry bag that goes around your neck. I put it under my shirt because it was like tugging and it was weird. It just felt better to be under my shirt. So of course, whenever a tech or a nurse came in, I'd have to be like, it's here, it's here. I was in my clothes. I had changed already. I'm like the tank top queen over here. And, I was wearing my Stitch as in Lilo and Stitch. I'm a huge Stitch fan. I was wearing Stitch sweatpants and I changed into a pair of shorts because even though I'm having trouble regulating my body temperature, I know when I fall asleep I'm going to get hot. So just into the shorts I go. But yeah, they hook me up to the heart monitor. They get me IV drip going. Give me some medication. I don't remember what they gave me, but they couldn't give me any more painkillers or anything. Which, by the way, okay, hold on. Among the litany of things that this hospital has done wrong so far, I have to add, I was told, and my mother-in-law was there when they said it to me, so she corroborated what I was saying. I wasn't imagining things. The doctor downstairs said, when you get up there, if you need more pain medication, they can give you Percocet. I'm going to put it in your chart. So when I got upstairs, and by the time the Dilaudid had worn off, because it's been hours, I asked for a Percocet. And the nurse was like, I can give you Tylenol. I said, the doctor downstairs, the emergency room doctor, said she put in my chart that when it was time for me to get pain meds, I could have Percocet. And she goes, well, there's nothing in here. And I'd have to get the doctor's permission to give you Percocet, the cardiac doctor's permission to give you Percocet. I can put a call out to the doctor, but for the time being, I can only give you Tylenol. And I was like, no thanks. I take Tylenol in the event of a minor headache, a fever, minor inconvenience. As stated in previous video, I'm on a controlled substance for my pain. Like, this is the big leagues we're talking about. So you're not giving me a Percocet. Tylenol ain't gonna do shit. I did manage, I'm gonna say it was probably 2:30 in the morning. Whoa, rewind, how can I forget? Rewind for a second. Before I got brought upstairs, I'm such a mess. I can't do linear stories, can't do it. Before I got upstairs, I requested my husband bring me a few things, and he was frustrated, and I'm like, buddy, I don't feel good. I'm getting admitted. Just please bring me some things. I had requested some first world conveniences, of course. I asked him to bring my iPad so that I could work on some pictures and try to post on my Simstagram account, which I haven't done in like 2 months. And we'll get into that at another point in time. I asked for my headphones. I have a pair of Beats headphones over the ear. I can't do earbuds because my ear canals are too small and they hurt if you try to put something inside. But I had my over the ear Beats headphones, and they are noise canceling. Every 5 minutes there was some chirp in the room because of something not plugged in with the beds, but they couldn't plug it in, and I just really didn't understand, so I was like, whatever. What else? Oh yeah, and just all the charging cords for the phone, the iPad, and the headphones. And so he brought it, along with, I asked for some I asked for some food, because the hospital, they gave me a turkey sandwich, but, I mean, they're yelling at me for not eating all day, and I hadn't eaten all day because I was in the hospital and they didn't give me anything. At one point, my blood sugar did go low enough that my father-in-law got up and was like, I need some crackers or cookies or something, some juice. So at least I had some cookies, and after the Dilaudid, I definitely got more of an appetite. Anyway, okay, so my husband brings me my stuff, and I'm expecting him to sit with me. No. He says that he has to go take care of himself. And I said, you know what, I'm not going to argue, because his job is very stressful, and what's going on with me, he's like internalizing it or something. I'm just like, chest pain, everything that's going on, I'm not in the mood to argue. I'm not in the mood to start a scene. I'm like, fine, if you gotta go, just go. Fast forward, we're back to about 2:30 in the morning. I put my headphones on. This freaking pump. It's been almost a week since I started my sensor, and it keeps telling me that it's updating, which is like insulin pump code for your sensor's about to die. So I get to do another one soon. Anyway, again with my kinship Brightwave, I'm like a walking billboard for my sample collection. But samples are what I have around me because my room is still a freaking mess. I have to organize, and I'm at the, I can't. Now, I can just about do this with my arm. So I'm going to try to do okay. Nope. Single-handed it is. So anyway, all hooked up, everything's going on. Put my headphones on. I put on some ASMR videos. Actually, right now I'm watching this one woman who does outfit capsules and fashion advice and how to dress well on a budget and all kinds of stuff like that. And there's just something about her voice is so soothing and calming. So I had that on and I knocked out. And I was out till about 6:30 in the morning when they came to check my blood pressure again and give me my thyroid pill. Yeah, I have Hashimoto's disease. So I have 2 autoimmune diseases that we know of. Type 1 diabetes and Hashimoto's disease. Good times. So that's why I have a thyroid pill. And my blood pressure was like okay. My blood sugar stayed pretty solid. And my blood pressure was okay. They were kind of impressed. They were like, okay, that's not bad, maybe, because you're up here and you're finally relaxing and whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, give me some freaking pain medication. My back is hurting me. Okay. And finally, the nurse comes in and says, okay, we got clearance to give you your tramadol. And I'm like, yes. And she hands me 1 pill. I said, what's this? And she goes, well, that's your tramadol. I said, my script is for 2 of these every 6 hours as needed. She goes, yeah, as needed. I said, 2. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't giving attitude. I have the utmost respect for people in the medical field. The way people are acting lately and the way they're treated and the hours that they have to work, I do my best not to be an asshole, and I don't get argumentative. I'm giving off a lot of attitude in this video because I'm extremely frustrated, but I don't direct it at the people because it's not their fault. So I basically let her know. I said, listen, my script is for 2 every 6 hours as needed. Do you need to call my doctor? It's through, what the hell is the name of that place I go to? Rothman Orthopedics or something? I don't know. And she's like, well, unfortunately, I can't get the doctor now, and this is all that we can give you. And I said, then fine, I'll take it. Whatever. I just need to take the edge off at this point. And so, here we are on Tuesday. And I have no words. A lot of sitting and waiting, trying to get comfortable. Hospital food, and it was just, because I was on the cardiac floor, it was a low sodium diet. And my nurse even came in and said something. She was like, your sodium is low. I said, yeah, my sodium is always low on these blood tests. It's always low. She goes, no, low sodium diet isn't going to help you much, is it? I said, not really. She goes, unfortunately, I can't do anything about it because even if I get a doctor to override anything, you're on the cardiac floor. This is permanent. I said, fine. She goes, you know what? Between you and me, I don't care if your husband brings you snacks. Have your snacks. Have him bring you food. Have him go to Chick-fil-A at this point. I don't care. You know? I honestly don't care. Your labs, your labs are fine. Your cholesterol's just a little higher than it was last time, but I mean, not a whole lot. So, you know, just try to eat the food that's on your plate, because if you send back too much, they're going to start coming here and questioning you. I said, fine. So I ate the food. I don't know what the hell. It was some kind of gross sweet potato hash with their version of scrambled eggs. And, I mean, I love oatmeal, and I just ate the oatmeal. They gave sugar. I didn't put sugar in. I don't like putting sugar in my oatmeal. And it's like grits. I'll put butter in my grits, but that's about it. Sometimes honey. And also their version of coffee. And just more of the waiting game. Finally, the PA, the physician's assistant from the cardiology group, comes in to talk to me, goes over my chart, goes over all my symptoms, talking to me. You still have chest pain? Yes. You still a little bit short of breath? Yes. Are you still dizzy? Yes. Your blood pressure's a bit better. Oh boy. But she says, all right, so the next step, what we're going to do tomorrow, and I'm like, okay, so now we're going into Wednesday. Tomorrow we're going to do a nuclear stress test. And I go, oh. And she goes, oh, I take it you've had one of those before? I said, yeah, don't mind me. We got to do what we got to do. I'm not complaining, and I'm not going to, like, say anything. You know, but just whatever test needs to be done is going to be done, because I need it. But for those of you who have never had a nuclear stress test, it's uncomfortable to say the least. A traditional stress test is performed where they hook you up to all sorts of cardiac monitors, and they put you on a treadmill, and in increments they speed the treadmill up, and it looks at how your heart is performing while you're stressing it out, and then it looks at how it performs while you're resting. The biggest thing that they look at is what it's doing while you're resting. Well, if you're already in there for a heart problem and you're in the hospital, they are not putting you on that treadmill. Especially because if I'm dizzy and short of breath, I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster, obviously. I got my Strivectin double fix for lips, around lips. Weird, because it just tastes horrible. Excuse me. Alright. Sorry for being a drama queen. Anyway, that's the on-lip part. I'm still trying to paint my lips the ways that other people do that have normal upper lips, not pencil upper lips. But this stuff is pretty cool. So I think that's where I'm going to leave off for today's segment. There'll be a part 3. And I hope that's going to be it, honestly. I hope I can just fit it into one more part. I don't want to keep droning on. I couldn't believe my part 1 was 35 minutes. Holy crap. If anybody watches that, I'd be surprised. I don't know how long this one is going to be. I'll see it in the editor, but I'll try to squeeze the last bit of it into part 3. And then hopefully I'll be feeling well enough to continue part 3 of my fragrance collection. I want to get back to the fun stuff. But I know that a lot of my followers or people who watch my videos are people that I know, or friends or family, and they're concerned. They want to know what's going on, so this is more or less for them. Or, you know, if you want to learn something about being in the hospital in the cardiac ward. Yeah, that's we're going to leave off with Tuesday, when I was told that I was going to be having the nuclear stress test. So, as always, take care of yourselves, stay hydrated, wear SPF, and have a great day. Bye.